shooting down in the woods. He wouldn't leave it even if he could. 'Cause life is good, yeah!
Hickok45 here, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from Middle Tennessee, the home of, this week I'll say, a lot of patriots, a lot of Second Amendment supporters, because I saw a lot of you yesterday at the state capitol in Nashville, as well as around the country, and it was great. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that and some other things, okay? I'm in the reloading room, the cluttered reloading room, my home away from home. So I thought I would just chat a little bit. I'm on vacation today, and it's a little chilly. Got the heater going out here, and thought I would just chat with you a little bit about a few things. Even though we just did a vlog, I thought, well, I didn't really ramble on too much in that. I was kind of in the mood to do a radio show, quote unquote, reloading room podcast, whatever we ought to be calling it. And would yak about a few things. But yes, I did discuss the Capitol rally in the vlog. It was really, really fun. I had a great time. Really did. I should have prepared a speech and tried to make a difference in that regard, I guess. Maybe next time. But I tell you, my memory of that was, of course, just everybody being there with their signs and supporting the cause, and of course on their best behavior, and just chatting with folks. There were just so many people there that watched the videos, and we spent almost the entire time. I really felt a little bit guilty. I missed some of the speeches. There were just so many people that wanted to chat and talk about the videos and everything, and I was a little bit conflicted, to tell you the truth. I did not want to turn that into a Hickok45 meet and greet. That's not what that was about. But it, I don't know. For me, it turned into that. I'll have to admit, I was guilty of doing that, and I just thoroughly enjoyed meeting you all and your family. So many of you with children and your wives and just everybody. It was really good, and that's what the whole thing was about. Everybody get together, support the Second Amendment, and be friendly. So it was great. It was great. It was wonderful. Just the families that were there, people by themselves. Just a wonderful event. I wish there had been more people. There were quite a few, around 1,000. And it was a great event, a great showing. I still, if I want to look at it as the glass half full, I have to say that there ought to have been 10,000 people there, really, at every capital. You get right down to it. When you think about the gun owners in every city, where were they? And I don't know. I think a lot of people are reluctant to go to things like that. And I'm a little concerned about that people are reluctant to do that. Maybe they're reluctant to join gun rights organizations. Maybe they're reluctant even to call their congressmen, their senators. We're way past time to be reluctant. We really are. And I just hope everybody is aware of that. If you're listening to this, you're probably more likely to be doing all those things. And it's up to all of us here in the reloading room, just us friends. We really all need to do every possible thing we can to get our friends off the dime and on the phone and on the email. We really do. I'm really encouraged, as I said in, I guess it was the Second Amendment video, whatever we called that, kind of announcing or reminding people about the events, that so many people seem to be getting politically active and motivated. We're seeing a great deal of that, a lot more than we have. I'm still wondering, though, you can't help but wonder, I know you do too, why almost everybody is not politically motivated. Man, I'd love to have seen major traffic jams in Nashville and every capital city around the country, where they had to call out all the off-duty police, pay them overtime to to just handle the crowds. Not that there'd be any problems, but you have to have police presence when you have large crowds. And I wish that all had to been called out, just because the crowds were so massive and the traffic was so massive. But we just have to do what we can and make sure that we're carrying the torch and we're continuing to follow the schedule, writing and calling our representatives every week. We can't really let up ever. We have a major force of shooters now, a major population, a huge population of shooters and shooting enthusiasts, carry permit holders. Just the sport, the endeavor has exploded really over the last 4, 5, 6 years. It really has. And most of us need to be active. There are always going to be some who won't. How that is at your job or in your family or whatever. There's going to be people who are just not going to do it. But we really do, because politicians, they care about one thing: getting reelected. They really do. That's about it. And we've got to tap into that. We have to tap into that. The more I hear, I did not use the Ruger.com site. Speaking of that, but the more I hear about that, that sounds like a great place to go. I'm going to do that tonight. I was listening to Tom Gresham here, his podcast he recorded on last Thursday or Friday, I think, from the SHOT show and everything, but was talking to the Ruger people and different folks, and that apparently what Ruger did was set up a really nice site there where you can contact everybody at one place. That's by putting in your zip code, and it's just something that we all have to do. That is one thing everybody had better do. So we definitely spread the word on that. It's at the Ruger.com, I believe, site. So anyway, that's just really, really important. It's interesting how the opponents of the Second Amendment, or however you want to characterize them, they're always trying to get us down to those 10-round magazines, and or whatever, background checks at gun shows, whatever it might be. They more or less imply things will be all right if y'all just compromise and give on this and give in on that. But anybody that's been around a while knows that's not what they want. They want everything. They want it all. It's just one step at a time. And the new laws in New York, if we ever had any notions otherwise, that pretty much tells the story, doesn't it? Because 10 rounds was not few enough. Now we're down to 7 in New York. Even the police, how's that for a laugh? The way they wrote that up. But then again, on the other hand, if I live in New York State and 10 rounds are too dangerous for me to be trusted with, I guess 10 rounds might be too dangerous for a policeman to be trusted with, right? I mean, I'm just as honest and, law-abiding and responsible as any policeman I know. So what's the deal? So maybe they should be limited to 7 rounds as well? I don't know. Maybe that's the tack we should be taking. If 10 rounds, 15 rounds, 30 round magazine capacity is too much to be out there, that it's too much for police, too much for the military, too dangerous. Maybe that's the position we all should take. The NRA, and we through the NRA should take. We agree. Yeah, we agree. These guns are dangerous. We really ought to just back down to revolvers, 5-shot revolvers, for everybody. The police, citizens, military. Those guns that hold 10 rounds, 20 rounds, 30 rounds are just way too dangerous. You all are right. Guns are dangerous when they hold a lot of ammo. Should not have them. Should not be around. Nobody should have them. You think that would help? Probably not. Oh, well, I don't want to, hammer our police or military. Just kind of thinking out loud, commiserating and trying to figure out the craziness on the other side. And, there's no figuring it out, of course. It's mostly, as I mentioned in the little talk I did give at the Capitol, that there are a lot of good people on the other side. There really are. You have them in your family. You meet them at work. You meet them at the drugstore. Many of them are very creative people, maybe artists, and they're just so certain that these guns are dangerous and they should not be in the hands of citizens. These dangerous-looking assault rifle, military-style assault rifle. Why would anybody need the? They just have never been around firearms, and they just think that's amazing that we're even allowed, quote unquote, to own such a dangerous implement. And it's just really, really hard to bring them around, and it takes time, I think, generally. And that's in a lot of cases kind of a losing battle. It really is, depending on the person. That's why we to go around those people. Unfortunately, we can't trust them with our constitutions. What it comes to, in fact, that was something I meant to say at the rally. We really can't trust those people, artists, those very sensitive and creative artists, with our Constitution. We just can't, because if we left it up to them, there would be no Second Amendment. Definitely, it's just the way it would be. So. Anyway, I know getting into politics a lot lately, but wow. I mean, we're being faced with an onslaught. I've had a few people on videos, of course. Out of the thousands that come into the videos, a few people is pretty small. But there have been 2 or 3 I've seen that, well, since you've gotten so political, I'm unsubscribing. I said, well, okay. I still stay away from the party politics. But like I said in that video, if you own a gun, plan to own a gun, you are political to a certain extent. And I'm accustomed to this kind of affront, this kind of pressure over the years. I remember back in the 80s, 70s, of course, too. In the 80s, there was all this pressure against Saturday night specials, those cheap Saturday night specials and those little handguns. I remember, in fact, I recall that little North American Derringer you've seen in one video, and I still can't seem to do a video with it. It's so hard to hold and shoot. I bought that gun, I recall, was probably in about 86 or something, I think, 80, along in there. Those things hadn't even been out long, I don't guess. But it was because of that. The same reason people were buying AR-15s 2 weeks ago, when they were still available, was the same reason I bought that little gun and started looking at J-frame Smith & Wessons, because there was so much pressure, and that was the big deal. I guess it was Brady campaign at that time. I lost track of I guess so. But oh man, they were after those little handguns. I was never really attracted. Hard to imagine, huh? Because I'm almost a proponent of little guns that shoot well, but I didn't really have any. I really didn't, and there might be a place where there was no carry permit. I had not started working with the police department at that point in the early 80s, and I just thought, I don't know if I have a use for one of those, but I better get one if I'm ever going to have one. I have a feeling these things are going to be outlawed. Same old thing. So they're just always people that they're going to be targeting. Certain classes of firearms, wherever the criminals are, whatever the criminals are using to hurt each other with or hurt good people with, there's no lack of targets for the emotions. If I was going to live my life based on my emotions and be frightened by everything and be threatened by everything, I could just walk around throughout the day and find all sorts of things that something needed to be done about, whether it's these fast cars or intersections where the lights weren't right, or parking lots where maybe I didn't think there was enough lighting. I mean, I could just make that my mission, right? I could be offended by everybody, and I could be threatened by everything, and there are a lot of people that live that way. So anyway, can't help but get into the politics a little bit, because I've never seen it this bad, this overt, where they are coming after them, and they're not making any bones about it. Right up to the President of the United States. I mean, if it was just some group we were hearing more from than normally, it'd be a little bit different. But when we've got key senators, we have the President of the United States and all of his people, coming after our firearms, and would like to come after our firearms, where there are, the evidence is there. I mean, they're not making any bones about it, and you can go back through their political histories and see, quote, speeches where they have made those comments. I mean, this isn't someone's imagination. It's not paranoia. It's an actual threat to our rights. It's just that simple. Just as if someone who goes about their business farming, let's say, maybe some of my neighbors, and just minding their own business, and for some reason somebody deems certain classes of tractors dangerous all of a sudden, and they what? It's people who have not even been political in their lives all of a sudden find themselves having to gear up and fight back. And I mean, I've always been political a little bit because of the hobby, and because I've had a interest in firearms, unlike the farmer in my analogy, but it's just different now. And I'm not going to become the political channel. I will use the radio show and vlogs and things like that. We'll talk about it more than that, but we'll continue doing shooting videos, and we're not going to start doing political videos and like one shooting video a month or something. That would be stupid. I'm not going to do that. I'll tell you something that occurred to me. I was just driving this morning to Clarksville to make an ammo run, trying to find some ammo. Not easy. And that's another subject, isn't it? It occurred to me, thinking about all the folks that I chatted with at the rally on Saturday. And it was many. I mean, it had to have been over 100 or a couple hundred I chatted with. It was great. And of course I run into you all at gun shows and sometimes at Walmart or Wendy's, but it's more likely, of course, at a shooting event or a firearms event. I wonder why. Imagine that. Brilliant, aren't they? But and John and I have talked about that, how interesting it is that our viewers are across the age gamut. Really do. Lots of folks that are, young people, really young people. And that was cool about Saturday. Everybody from 5, 6, 7 years old on up to my age or older. It was really cool. Because I don't get a chance to meet the kids very often. And at this event, there were several families there with youngsters and young girls, young boys. Then they said they watched the videos. That was neat. That was really neat. That was I guess I just like kids. I can't help it. They're funny. I was messing with some of them, giving them a hard time, but they actually watched the videos, and that was cool. That's a rare occasion that I actually meet, youngsters. They tend not to show up at a gun show. You don't see many 10-year-olds driving themselves to a gun show or the NRA convention or somewhere or Knob Creek, but that was really neat. But anyway, the age group, and of course there's a wide range of people, but I run into people who are 50, 30, 25, 35, 75 that watch these videos and really enjoy them. And I mean, they're just fervent, telling me how much they enjoy it and they appreciate what we do. All age groups, and that's neat. That's neat. For a while when we started, I had the impression it was mostly people in their 20s and 30s, and we didn't run into as many people like my age or in their 50s or any as much. And that has changed the last couple of years. Part of that, I think, is the fact that more people now are aware of YouTube, of course, even those old guys that were reluctant to to maybe use YouTube or didn't know there was anything useful on YouTube, and they've discovered YouTube, and it's just all ages. It's just really neat that, and you would think a guy my age, I'm 60, over 60, that these guys 25 and 30, a lot of them are 30 years old, 25, that they come up and you would almost expect them to maybe not even want to say anything, or that old guy does a video. I like the videos, that old crusty old guy, I'm going to talk to him. That guy's like older school than my granddad, or whatever. But no, they really do. They want to come up and chat and about the videos and just really express their appreciation and just talk about it. And that is really neat. That's something that John and I value. We really do. I really think it's cool when the old guys come around and talk about it. They're watching these things on YouTube. That's kind of the way it has been with computer stuff, though. I remember back in the 80s when I was that 30-year-old, and I was into computers early, as I've told you all. And of course, my dad was not. Uncles and people in the family, anybody, man, at that time, anybody over 30, 35 hardly was, or 40, and the older folks, of course, were not, until they saw a purpose or something there useful to them. And a lot of that came with email, being able to email, communicate easily with family that lived out of state and that sort of thing. And their children were on email. And then once we started sending pictures and things back and forth, that was great, wasn't it? So then we got the old folks on email finally, right? They realized they could get pictures of their grandchildren, just at any time. And so there had to be a reason and a purpose. And YouTube is, I guess, part of that. Doesn't matter what age you are. If you want to look something up, whether it's how to change a tire or how to field strip a Glock or 1911, people have realized it's on there, and it's hard to beat that visual, isn't it? But anyway, we really comment on how we are glad that people in all age ranges seem to enjoy the videos. So that's cool. It's really a cool part of what we do, and it was neat to meet a lot of those people. On another subject, firearms. I guess I'm a little remiss today. I didn't think about bringing out a firearm to fondle for you. Of course, there's no visual, so I know it's not that big a deal. But of course, I would have a firearm even if I didn't bring one out, right? Well, today I happen to be packing. Let's unload it. I happen to be packing the 357 SIG, and we'll rack the slide a little bit. Just give you a little feel of that Glock atmosphere, right? The Glock 32 Gen 4. Yes, nice Gen 4 trigger that I like so much. Let's put a round back in it and reholster that thing. So anyway, I do have a firearm. I'm not going to fondle it too much today, but I do have one. Hey, click. I usually have a firearm. Around the place here, obviously being a firearms person, you all understand that anyway. But I'm out here in the barn or be across the field and coming back. For that reason, even before I had a carry permit, I would generally carry something around the place. You come back and there's somebody in the driveway, somebody in the house, whatever. But that's not likely now with our security. But they can still be messing around here somewhere. And if I have the door closed out here, I could be surprised by coming out of the barn that somebody's in the driveway. And anyway, that's like talking about air or something. We all know that's why we have carry permits, and those who can have a carry permit, it's that old deal that better to have it, not need it, than to need it and not have it. And I think that's one of the things, here I go off on another tangent, but that is one of the things that the anti-gun crowd cannot relate to. If you've grown up with firearms, it was something I mentioned at the rally, that for me, a firearm is like a loaf of bread or a crescent wrench, I think I said. But and for many of you, we don't think about it. It's not a dangerous thing that scares us. It's not a snake. And so having one is not a big deal. at all. It's like having your wallet, in your pocket, and it's not dangerous. Proper safety techniques and everything. It's loaded, but it's just not an issue. It's something you're accustomed to, and so it really is. It's like a why not? It's a why not kind of thing. Whereas I think for the people who have not grown up around firearms at all, and they're kind of scary, then see, that's, ooh, wow, you had a loaded gun? You carry a loaded gun? Some of you listening to this who live in a state maybe where that's not legal, or a country where that's a foreign concept, you might have kind of a similar feeling about that. Even if you're not afraid of firearms, you think, wow, that must be weird carrying on. Someone right now listening to this is probably thinking, well, I'm not really afraid of firearms. I've fired them, go to the range, maybe I'm wherever I live, and it's legal if I go to a range and shoot. I'm from some country where you just have a hard time with personal firearms. It's very, very, very restricted maybe. So you're not afraid of them, but it is quite a stretch to think about actually having one on your belt, a loaded one, and just going around your daily business with it. That probably strikes a lot of people as a little bit odd if you've not had that experience. I remember when I first started carrying, it was, even though I'd been around firearms my whole life, there was a shift. Y'all can relate to that, can't you? That have gone through that process. I remember with me, of course, I carried one around the farm, and I helped a guy with his gun shop a couple of times, and I carried in there. This is before I had a carry permit, really, or was even working with the police. But then when I started working with them, getting the right holster and carrying, it was nothing scary at all, but that gun felt bigger. It felt hot. It was, it was there. Wow, got a loaded gun. And walking into Walmart or any business with it, going to get your hair cut or anything, it was, for a little while, it was really, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but you were just really aware of it. Really aware that thing was loaded and on your belt, So I can understand to some extent that if you've never been around firearms at all, it must be almost bizarre to think about carrying a loaded handgun around, But so that's part of it right there, is part of that split. I don't know. It's just something we have to continue to educate the uninformed about, and that's why it's such an important thing to be a responsible person and represent the firearms community well, represent yourself well. That's the thing. Now, somebody who is not familiar with firearms and they hear about some real character, someone they don't really trust much anyway, and they're some shady character, for example, and they hear that they carry a firearm, well, that just propagates the myth, doesn't it? So in a way, even though you don't want to broadcast that you're carrying a firearm or that you even have a carry permit maybe, it's still good to talk about your hobby and the shooting sports, because good people need to share it, put it that way. That's the only way, because how those folks are. If they're really anti-gun, they like to think that anybody that has firearms or carries a firearm is some dangerous, shady character. And I think that's changing, because especially in the South, the Midwest, and lots of states in this country, it would seem to me that it'd be difficult for, if you just put your finger on a name in a telephone book and called that person and asked them if anybody they know or anybody in their family has a carry permit and carries a gun, I would think most of them are going to say, oh, well, yeah, I don't. They scare me, but my Uncle Ralph does. Well, is your Uncle Ralph a pretty good guy? Well, yeah, I like Uncle Ralph. He's a good guy. He's a dentist here in town, or he's a farmer, or whatever he does. So I think that's the kind of thing you would discover in most cases. But now you get into some areas of the country, you don't have that. maybe in the Northeast, and especially parts of the Northeast, parts of the West Coast even, Chicago. Of course, in Chicago, there's a lot of people that carry guns, right? Just not many carry permits. But that's the challenge right there. It's a gap, it's a chasm that we have to get across as much as we can. And of course, we can't totally do that. So that's why we have to jump over that and go directly to our representatives and let them know, because they're the ones that really matter. We've got to try to win the hearts and souls of the people, but especially, though, our representatives. Now, I had a note here, and I probably shouldn't even bring this up. I'm on thin ice, I realize it, but that's okay. It's a radio show. I'm amongst friends, I hope, and if you don't know me by now, you don't know me. Well, I guess if you just started listening or watching videos yesterday, maybe you don't know me, but most of you do. Today is MLK Day, and as I sit here and yak at you, and I couldn't help but think, even at the rally, with that coming up, a couple days ago, the connection. Now, I wouldn't dare have tried to make that connection, in a speech or something or talking, because, oh boy, when the media love that, no matter how intelligent the connection might have been, of course it wouldn't have been too intelligent coming from me, but even if it was a valid connection in some way, just think what they would do with that. But I lump a lot of this together. I mean, aside from the history, of course, of an entire race of people and all the tragedies that, have taken place there. But aside from all that, what all that represents is, freedom of people to do as they should be able to do. Tolerance of other people. Acceptance of other people, acceptance of other ideas, at least tolerating other people's ideas and not trying to control other people, giving respect to, of course, groups of people, races of people, individuals, as long as people are not hurting you. Let people live as they want to live. There's just so many things to me. I mean, think about all the problems that have occurred on this planet between peoples for the last thousands, millions of years, and most of it, I guess you could say, gets down to people just not being accepting of other people and letting them live the way they want to live, and as long as they're not hurting you, hurting me. To me, it all kind of fits to some extent. We're talking about freedom. We're talking about freedom of individuals, freedom of groups to do as they see fit, as long as they are not encroaching on other people and not harming other people. Yeah, I mean, how basic is that? So I do see a connection there. I'm sorry. I get so weary of all this and all the various factions and groups in this country and around the world. When in the world are people just going to give it up? I couldn't care less what religion you are, what color you are, how short you are, how tall you are, how old you are, how ugly you are, how pretty you are. Yeah, I like hanging around pretty people, right? My gosh, aren't we enlightened at all in the year, whatever it is, 2013 now? I mean, you would think there would be a little bit of enlightenment into everybody's brain by this time, but of course part of it is we keep dredging up, I guess, the past, but just live and let live. It seems there's always one group wanting to control another group. Yeah, I know there are issues when you're trying to live together in the same proximity or same piece of land or whatever that might be. That people are going to do things that interfere with other folks, but all that has to be worked out. But I just grow weary of all that, and I do see a connection in just fighting for freedom. your rights, your basic human rights. Yeah, I mean, human rights. That's really what a lot of it comes down to. Just with anything where people are wronged, whether in the 1930s and 40s it was the Jewish population or whatever, whoever it is, if you just have respect for people's rights as human beings to live their lives as they see fit. Yeah, really easy to say, isn't it, I guess? But, I mean, there's always going to be evil characters that want to take advantage of you. But I don't know. I grow weary of it, but it is a human rights issue to some extent. It's a freedom issue. And I don't know. I can relate to folks that maybe are in a minority, and I think you can too, whatever that minority is, and are being taken advantage of. Or there are folks trying to take advantage of them, and because I think that's happening to a lot of different people, because there are just some folks who are not very enlightened, or there are folks who have an agenda that they are trying to further, and they want you and me and others to live the way they want us to live. So I don't know, I could preach about that for a while, I guess. And I do think, here I am, it's dangerous when I just start talking, don't even know what I'm going to say, but there are issues that I think hurt the gun rights community, because there's a percentage of us who own guns and shoot, probably, whatever it might be. We might find some intolerance, put it that way, in our shooting community. And I don't know. I'm more of a libertarian probably than anything when it comes to politics. And you can probably sense that if you've listened to me much. And I don't know. I think some of the people on our side of the Second Amendment issue could be some of the same people that get all bent out of shape about other things that maybe don't really matter. I know I've seen, for example, and here I go again, getting controversial. I've seen some comments recently, people coming into the channel, and what was it? The other day I saw someone said, what was it? Really, you could tell he was just upset. I mean, he was really being a smart aleck about it, and saying something to the effect that, yeah, you all want your Second Amendment rights and you don't want to be bothered, but you're the same people that don't want me smoking marijuana or something like that, And I had to agree. Now, I don't smoke marijuana and I don't do anything illegal, but things like that, people like that. And I don't mean to imply that shooters, gun rights activists, and all of us need to start jumping on the legalized marijuana bandwagon or anything, because that is neither here nor there with me. But in terms of how we do alienate, I think, certain people out there that could be our friends, I think we have to be careful we're not hypocritical about some things that maybe, I don't know, might fall under a similar way of thinking. I don't know. I can see where that guy's coming from, to tell you the truth. And I've said often that sometimes I'm not sure who's the more dangerous, the far left or the far right. Because in a lot of ways, both of those little splinters want to control behavior. And anyway, that's just my 2 cents worth. Probably offended a few people there. And again, I don't do anything illegal and don't really plan to. I just, when I try to be objective about things like that, I can see where they're coming from, to tell you the truth. Sometimes we can be our own worst enemy, I think, in the gun rights community, so to speak. Well, let's get on a lighter subject here. I'm really on a political binge here, aren't I? I can't help it, I guess. It's got all of us maybe upset to an extent, and that's a good thing, probably. We ought to be upset, and that helps make us think things over and react and act, because we definitely need to act. But, man, what about this ammo shortage? Can you believe it? I was in a gun shop this morning in Clarksville, and it's really eerie. it is so eerie to see those shelves almost empty. Guns and ammo. And I know many of you have had that experience. Go into your favorite gun shop, or one of your gun shops locally, and it's just strange. It's like going to the grocery and no food on the shelves. It shows you how quickly things can disappear. The supply lines can be interrupted, can't they? Or just so many people buying things that you cannot keep up with the demand, and can't be resupplied fast enough or at all. So we're in a strange place right now. There's no doubt about that. As I yak here on, like I say, MLK Day, what is the 20th, 21st, I guess, of January, the ammo shelves are empty, basically. And the gun shelves are very sparse. And it's not just AR-15s, is it? So it's a weird time. It really is. I heard Tom Gresham talking about this, how some Harvard business guy needs to do a study on this or write a book about it, because we have a situation where we have an area of the economy that is doing so well, so exceedingly well, that the retail stores are in jeopardy of going out of business. And how's that for a contradiction? But really, what if you have a gun shop, some of you might, and you don't have product, you don't have ammo, you don't have guns, and you're not making any money? Now, granted, you've been making some pretty good money probably the last couple of weeks, but if you can't get ammo and you can't get firearms in there, and you have several employees, I feel for you. You're just not making any money this week or next week or maybe the week after, really, to speak of. If you don't have a shooting range or something else going on. So it's a really weird time, because from what I hear, the distributors their shelves are bare. Manufacturers can't keep up with it. They're back ordered 6 months, a year and a half on lots of firearms, and it's a very strange time. In a lot of ways, it's a good thing. People buying firearms and ammo, lots of it, lots of people getting into it, and all that's good. Think about how many people, every time this happens, of course, these scares, and this is a good scare, it's a real scare. It's not something we conjured up, is it? Many, many, many more people are getting into firearms. Many of them are for the first time. You know the drill. We've talked about it before. It's just those people that maybe thought, well, I might want to get a firearm sometime. I better get one, it looks like, if I'm ever going to. And then people just getting to the age where they're going to get one. And so they're entering the arena, and it must be frustrating to them. Think about it. And I hear from a lot of people like that. It's funny. I hear from people that are like 18 or 16 or 20. Oh man, I was just ready to pick out. I decided I was going to get a Glock 19 or something on my birthday, and now I can't find one. Or I was saving up to buy an AR. I was going to be old enough to get it, and now it's doubled in price. They'd finally saved up $800 or something, or $1,000, and now can't get them. And if you do, it's $2,000 or $3,000. So I know it's got to be frustrating to those people. I mean, it's weird. It really is weird. Man, what can I say? I've not seen anything like this. I've been through several of these cycles, but nothing at all like this. And anybody I've talked to that's been around a while, none of them's been through anything like this either. So it's hard to predict. It really is. As I sit here on this date, it appears if we continue the effort and stay on the phone and the email to our representatives, we should hopefully be able to hold off an assault weapons ban, quote unquote. Hopefully we can do that, and maybe even a magazine restriction. if we're able to do that, I think the production lines will, they'll slowly get back, to normal, I hope. And I think it will take time, though. And I think the same with ammo. So many people have been scared. I've been through this a lot of times, but a lot of people now that haven't been through it, and they're thinking, whoa, man, I want to buy another one once they become available, or I want to definitely stock up on ammo and all that kind of thing. So it's probably going to be a problem for a while. It really is, even if we're able to hold everything off. So I don't know what to say. We're just going to end up paying more for ammo for a while if we can even get it. So, John and I have some, but we'll have to think too about what videos we're doing. We're not, we're a long way from being in a position where, well, I guess we can't do videos. We're definitely not there. But there are certain calibers and things that we need to be a little careful with. 9mm, for example, and the handgun calibers. You may not see us for a while going out here and blasting away 200 rounds in a video like we like to do, but we're able to continue doing what we do. We'll just have to think about it a little bit. We don't want to go crazy. So it's a really weird time. It really is, and it must be really frustrating to people just getting into shooting, and they can't even find a box of ammo for the gun they just bought. So, but things will get better, I think, hopefully. And I know there are people buying guns just because in certain calibers, just because there's ammo in that caliber, and so who knows. I have noticed that there seems to be more 45 ACP available. If you're looking at firearms and trying to decide which one to buy, you're trying to decide between a 45 and a 9 or something. If you have any experience shooting, I don't generally recommend a 45 ACP for your first gun, but maybe that's a better route to go. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. The first priority is to hold off this legislation. Whatever we've got to hold that off. That's the thing on uppermost on our minds right now. I think more so than whether we get to the range as often as we want, or for John and me, whether or not I can shoot 200 rounds of 9mm, or whether I just need to shoot a few magazines if we test a pistol or whatever. The most important thing is we do what we can with our legislators and make sure that we get ourselves in a position where that's the only problem, is letting the ammo manufacturers kind of catch up to demand, and the gun manufacturers catch up to demand too. We want that to be the only problem. Okay, we can live with that. We can work with that. All of us can work with that. And maybe you'll finally get some of those cleaning videos you wanted me to do, some more of those. I don't know. We've got some ammo, but I don't have warehouses stacked full or anything like that. I just and I don't want to shoot up what I have. Tell you the truth, I have ammo where I could do some serious shooting, but not for that long. So I'm not going to get down to my last reserves. That's for sure. So we're going to be careful, but not too careful, and go ahead and shoot. Hopefully we can find it. If we have to pay more for it, we'll do that. Thanks to you all and so many viewers, we can pay a little more than maybe you normally would, to keep it going, if it's available, So we'll see. But it's a strange time, no doubt about it. By the way, I almost forgot. I don't know if you caught the Talking Lead podcast I appeared on as a guest last week. I put that in the feed that I was on there, and I know a lot of you did, because they told me they had a huge influx of listeners for the week. But I enjoyed that. Those guys are local, as I might have said, and they contacted me. They just started up that podcast, and if you went back to the first one, you probably were not very impressed because their mics were not right. And even when I was there, they had a little issue with my mic, and they're working out the bugs. But those are good guys. And when they contacted me and said I wasn't familiar with them, of course I wouldn't have been. They were just starting. and that they were in Nashville. That got my attention. And after a few exchanges of emails, I listened to their first and second podcast, and they sounded like my kind of people, just sitting around talking about firearms, and neither having been into firearms all that long. But I liked I like their style. Sometimes you don't know why you like something, but you just do. These guys seem like good guys, sitting around talking about firearms, and I could feel the passion. That we all can sense that. When you run in, how it is when you run into somebody that likes firearms, you end up having a big conversation with them, some relative somewhere at a family reunion. But I sensed that, and since they were local, I said, "Hey, man, I'll come over and chat with you about firearms." And like it was kind of a why not, And so I enjoyed that. I hope you caught that. It's their website. I mean, not that I was anything brilliant or anything, but those are good guys, and we're kind of funny about this channel's gotten big enough to where we actually do have an impact when we kind of promote something. It's kind of a weird place to be. Never really expected to be here, at that point, really, where that would even matter. But with the subscriber base, we have to think about that, when what we do, and who we promote. And we don't really do much promotion, because every time I do anything like that, I get a million other requests for something to promote. And again, it's because of the size. It's really weird. It's a strange place to be. But the main thing that we look at, if it's someone we affiliate with, and or just whatever we do, as long as they're good folks and we kind of like them, then we may do it. It's not something we sit around and talk about. There's no big marketing plan or anything, but if it's like maybe a YouTuber that I discover that I really like, and maybe you'll see their videos featured or something even, and I may go a year and not feature anybody's videos. We're busy doing what we're doing. I know we get criticized for that sometimes, not being a part of the YouTube community, quote unquote, as some people are always referring to it as. We just have been busy for 4 or 5 years doing videos. That was our kind of our mission, to see what we could do and put some good videos together, and haven't had a lot of chance to look at other people's stuff. Too busy answering mail and managing the channel and everything else we do, to tell you the truth. And but occasionally I'll get out there and look around a little bit and see what's going on. One of the problems I have is with links being sent, especially now, because I've been featuring different things or putting things in the feed about what's been going on, and so literally every other message to me has a link in it, and a video, or a petition. I mean, it really does, literally. And sometimes it's like 4 and 5 in a row, and here I'm trying to get through 100 messages, and I can't even open them all up, and I hate that. But it's just, that's the weird thing about it too. I know it's hard for you to imagine, unless you've got 300 and whatever it is, 70,000 subscribers. It's really a big operation in terms of trying to keep up with it. And even though it's just a lowly YouTube channel, it's just, there's always 40 things to do, and I don't have secretaries. It's just, that's the thing. It's just me at the computer when I can get to it. So. And on a slow connection, generally, here at the house. And John's got a better connection over at his apartment, and to get over there some, and to post videos and things. But anyway, I want to throw that out. We just don't get around to see everybody, and it's neat when I do. It's refreshing to meet other people. We just can't do it that much. But I'm a shooter, and you know how shooters are. I kind of miss going to the range, to tell you the truth. It's neat having your own range, your own place, but I do miss that experience of going to the range and talking with other shooters and hanging out. And so occasionally I get to do that, and that's kind of what this was like the other night, going by and doing that podcast with those guys, Zeke and Left Hand. Really good guys. They were at the rally, the Capitol, on Saturday, and saw them again. And but anyway, if you get a chance, check those guys out. The podcast. They're at talkingled.com. They're your kind of people. Let me put it that way. So that goes a long way. There are a lot of people that do some good work, on YouTube and in the firearms community that I respect their work and some of the things they do. I might even check out their videos occasionally, but maybe they're not. I just don't click with them, or I would not click with them. I wouldn't necessarily want to hang out with them. That's the way it always is. I always try to separate the artist from the art when I can, because I think we all do that. We partake of things that we enjoy. Even with music, think of your favorite bands or favorite musicians. You may not want to hang out with them. You might even not like them if you knew more about them. But you like what they produce, kind of like the actors and actresses in Hollywood. We like their work, but would not want to have lunch with them. Perhaps we'd end up in a fight over politics or something, right? But anyway, these are good guys, and there are a lot of good people in the shooting community. You go to a shooting range. I guess it depends on what shooting range you hit, but around here in Tennessee, when I go to a gun store, don't go to a gun range, shooting range very much, but it's just a lot of like-minded people, generally speaking, and good folks. And I know I hear from some of you about some of the characters and turkeys you run into at shooting ranges. You always have that too, the unsafe people, the slobs. You're going to have a few of those because it is a free society, and we want it to be that way. We want anybody to be able to buy a gun if they don't have a record. They're not a felon. That's the way it has to be. So there's going to be some of that, but by and large, shooters, and it's up to us to help train those people and educate them, get them on the straight and narrow. But by and large, shooters are just great folks. So I enjoyed sitting around talking about shooting and talking about firearms. It does get any better than that. I guess that's what I'm doing now. Speaking of firearms, let's talk about guns a little bit here. I don't want to get too political here. I hope that things will evolve here so that we're not talking about politics very much. Wouldn't that be cool? Get the Second Amendment out of jeopardy. But the Mosin, the guns, okay? And I mentioned this in the vlog. That was it a 9159? Okay, finally figured out that carbine Mosin. That thing is really cool. I've got to tell you. I like the Mosin, okay? The history of it is really cool. They're cheap. They're, rifle you can bang around and not worry about. Not very expensive, very powerful, and I guess plenty accurate. But that short one, that 9159, which is, again, it's the carbine, like the 38 or the 44, if you're familiar with the Mosins. And I talked about that in the video. We'll post that here for too long. But that thing shoots right on. And I shoot it better than the long Mosin I have. It's just right on. I didn't move the sights or anything. And any ammo I stick in it, it just feels better. There's something about that. I'm not sure what it is exactly. Just the balance of it. And I could take that if I were a deer hunter. I could take that thing into the tree without any trouble. And it'd be a good one to take, too. I think I paid $120 or $30 for it. It's kind of rifle. If you dropped it out of the tree, you wouldn't worry about it. As long as it didn't go off and shoot you, right? It, just something you could bang around and really powerful. In fact, one of the things I meant to show, I did show in the original video, and then I forgot in the second video we did with it. I do have some Winchester, the metric ammo. I guess it's soft point, jacketed soft point. Yeah, I'm looking at it actually here in the red. It's 180 grain jacketed soft point. It was an expensive box of ammo. I actually bought that because I knew I'd be doing this video. I don't really hunt, but I forgot what I paid for that. It was, I don't know, it was $25, $30 or something for something I would never hunt with. But I wanted to show it in the video, and I did. at least the first one. I don't know. John's going to, as I said in the vlog, is going to put some of the footage, I think, from the shooting in that video too. So you'll see a little mixture there. But I don't know if we'll show that ammo or not. I don't know. It's not a big deal. We'll do it in a chapter 2 or something. But you can get hunting ammo for those things, soft point ammo. You don't have to shoot just full metal jacket, that surplus military stuff. You can shoot lots of different kinds of ammo. And of course, one of those I'm sure would just do fine on a deer, a full metal jacket. That stuff is powerful. So I don't know. I guess a hunter would have more insight into that as to whether or not you need a soft point for deer. But that rifle is pretty cool. If you ever encounter one, you're looking for a Mosin, don't have one yet, and you run into one of those cut-off models. Again, the 9159, there's a little mystery associated with that one, and I'll talk about it in a video. You'll see that in terms of who did it, when they did it, and why they did it, and all that sort of thing. But it is just a cut-down 9130, and you can tell it's got the same sights and everything. They've been ground a little bit, but they're the same length sights and all that. So if you encounter one of those, don't just dismiss it because you want a Model 44 or a Model 38. From some of the reading and research I did, there were some folks that liked the 9159 better, and there were some advantages to that. So it's if you think you want a short Mosin, that might be an option. Truthfully, I don't run into them very often. I don't see them very often. Of course, now you don't see anything, right, very often in a gun shop. But I was on the lookout for a couple of years, really, thinking. I borrowed a Model 44 from a viewer who has lent us several guns to do videos with. And this is an interesting gun. I thought I wouldn't mind having one of those. And then I read a little bit more. I found out about the Model 38 that was just like that, but without the bayonet. Well, maybe either one of those, if I found one at a decent price, I'd pick it up. And I just hadn't run across one that I liked for the right price, but it's been on my radar. And when I saw this, I just snatched it right up. Because you don't run into any of those short models very often, at least around this neck of the woods. But an option that you might want to consider if you're in the market for a Mosin, because that normal, length Mosin is a big old long rifle, no doubt about it. Speaking of ammo shortage and everything, I don't just give you a little of my experience, what I've been seeing, and maybe you're aware of that too. If you have a 38 Special, maybe a 357 Magnum, either one, of course, or a 45 ACP, I'm seeing more of that ammo than I am, anything else, at least on the pistol shelves. Pistol ammo shelves. I'm seeing no 9mm and some of the other stuff, but it seems like there's some 38 Special. If you have one, or maybe you've been contemplating purchasing one, maybe a little carry J-frame 38 Special or something, a little Centennial model, or something like my 642 that I have that I like. Or a classic Model 10, which I have. In fact, we did a video with that. I'll be posting here before too long. Those are just neat guns, classics. And you see those around, mainly because there were so many of them made. What was it, like 6 million or something? Lots of Model 10s out there. The old pin barrel, revolver, classic Smith & Wesson police revolver. And if you have any interest in those things and you happen upon one for a decent price, maybe it's something to think about. Maybe you're frustrated. You got your 9mm, and that's your key caliber, and 5.56 and 7.62 by 51. Your 308s, and you're just almost down to no ammo, and you can't find any, or it's 10 prices and all that. If you have any interest in those other firearms, maybe it's a time to look at something like that. Just as you continue your collection, if you're a real firearms enthusiast, that's a kind way of saying it, euphemistically, if you're a gun nut like me is what I really mean, you have to have some some appreciation for those old Smith & Wessons, and maybe it's just something to think about. Maybe if you have one back in the safe or something, you just hadn't even thought about shooting, never have shot it much, maybe it's the time to go pick up 4 or 5 boxes of 38 Special and just enjoy that for a while. Take it to the range and maybe educate some people as to what it is, so maybe looking on the bright side, it's an opportunity to explore some other firearms that you haven't shot a lot lately. That's one thing I've been thinking about. Just okay, now what do I have the most ammo in, and what is it that's going to be the easiest to replace? That sort of thing. Maybe we want to focus some of our videos in those areas. I don't know, but I really think the ammo situation, it may get worse before it gets better, but I do think that will level out as we move on through the weeks here and the months. I think the initial worst part of the scare is over, and I don't know. I mean, in terms of it looking really, really bad, and it still could be really, really bad if we don't, write our congressmen and our senators. It really could. But they're hearing from us, and I think we're on their minds. We've got to stay on their minds. If we do that, the worst could be over. Hopefully. Now the legislation hadn't hit yet, and we don't know how that's going to happen, what's going to transpire. But if we keep those cards and letters going in, this could be the worst of it, and in a month or two, things will level out some. But as I say, I think the suppliers are going to take time to catch up, but we'll begin to see, I think, some of that ammo reappear, and maybe things will start to get back to normal by summer if we're lucky. And if we can keep from hoarding it all, just get what we need for now. And there's a gun shop in Clarksville that has a 3-box limit, and I know during the last run on ammo they did that, and in some ways that goes against the grain. It's, oh my gosh, takes you back to the price controls of the Nixon or Carter administration, some of that, and how utterly horribly that failed, but it was interesting during the last shortage. It was nice because in that gun shop, they always had ammo because they did have a 3-box limit. Whereas some of the other places, they just sold out because, how we shooters are. Somebody goes in there and they buy, 40 boxes. As soon as they get the 9mm on the shelf, they buy it up, and it's gone. So no one else even has a chance at even one box. And so I have a different outlook on that now. I really do, because they if there's ammo anywhere, they would tend to have it. Of course, they don't really now very much, but anyway, if we can keep from just scarfing it all up, I think things will get better. And I guess I should wrap this thing up. I've really been in one of my worst rambling modes, I think, today, I guess. So hopefully some of it made a little sense, and I do appreciate you guys watching and listening. And it was great to meet so many of you again the other day, and I really look forward to that. It's cool to run into you all, and I don't know. There's just no way to have any kind of major meet and greet, I guess. But that would be so cool. I would love to have some. If I don't have time to put anything like that on, but it would be cool if there was some place. What we've done, I guess, in the up to now, is we kind of use the big events to get out and meet some of y'all. That's one reason John and I try to make it a point to get to Knob Creek and to the NRA conventions, because we run into so many of y'all there and get to speak to you a little bit, and that works out pretty well. But I don't know. It's just cool to meet you, because you're out there watching, and we appreciate you. So anyway, hope you get a chance to shoot. Hope you can find a box of ammo somewhere. And we'll all keep our fingers crossed, keep calling our representatives, and life will get better, I think. Y'all take care. You've been listening to the Hickok45 radio show. See you on the range.